I don't want to see a man in a women's restroom. That's not a thing.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I hope that one day I do find you in that women's bathroom and I grab your ratty looking hair.
The trans bathroom wars have come to Congress, and things are getting rather unhinged rather quickly. So up first, we've got to talk about the controversy that's breaking the internet right now in Congress, where the bathroom wars over trans issues have raged up again because Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who used to style herself as a pro-LGBT social moderate, is leading the charge to enact a bathroom bill in Congress. She just introduced a resolution that would restrict all bathrooms and gender-based facilities in the Capitol to be used only by people of their biological sex, restricting trans women from accessing women's bathrooms in the Capitol, which they've done for many years. Mace is explicitly doing this in response to the election of an incoming congressperson, Sarah McBride, who is a transgender woman, meaning that McBride is born biologically male. But this resolution will also impact staffers and employees who there have been many Democratic staffers who are trans who have been using the facilities of their preferred gender for many years. That's about to change because Speaker Mike Johnson has indicated that he will be implementing this policy from Nancy Mace into the rules for the House. Before I get to my take, which might surprise some of you guys, but I just want you to hear me out. First, here's Congresswoman Nancy Mace on why she thinks this policy is necessary.
I'm not going to allow men to erase women or women's rights. And I'm going to be standing up here. I will file this again next congressional session. Sarah McBride doesn't get a say. This is about women. This is about girls. This is about our rights and being protected in our private spaces. I don't want to see a man in a women's restroom. That's not a thing. And it's not going to be a thing up here. It's not going to be a thing anywhere across the country either.
And unfortunately, if not particularly surprisingly, Mace has been getting unhinged threats from trans activists online over her proposal, like this one lovely individual.
This video goes out to Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I hope that one day I do find you in that women's bathroom and I grab your ratty looking hair and drag your face down to the floor while I repeatedly bash it in until the blood's everywhere.
It should go without saying that no matter what your views are on this issue, that kind of rhetoric and threat is totally disgusting and unacceptable, and people like that should be investigated by the FBI. Now, how is Congressperson Sarah McBride responding to this controversy? Well, here's the tweet thread that McBride put out. Everyday Americans go to work with people who have life journeys different than their own and engage with them respectfully. I hope members of Congress can muster that same kindness. McBride continues, this is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing. We should be focusing on bringing down the cost of housing, healthcare, and childcare, not manufacturing culture wars. Honestly, I was expecting much more of a woe is me victim script in response to this, so kudos to McBride on that front of at least staying somewhat constructive and not playing the victim all that much. Now let me give you my take on this issue, which is kind of nuanced, and I just want you guys to hear me out. If you disagree with me, that's always okay here. But I actually think that this policy change is kind of a solution in search of a problem. Trans women who work in the Capitol have been using women's public bathrooms for many years, and there haven't been any incidents. Even zooming out and looking nationwide, incidents of harassment or violence in public restrooms are incredibly statistically rare. And while you'll often hear the need for these policies justified in the name of safety, extensive empirical research into these policies has found that when trans people are allowed to use the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity, there is, empirically speaking, no uptick in crimes in bathrooms. I've never understood the safety argument behind these policies, because if a horrible person, trans or not, is planning on going into a bathroom to assault or molest or harass a woman, they're already not restrained by laws or policies because they're breaking tons of them in the process. To me, the bathroom policy preventing assault is kind of like believing that the sign that says gun-free zone is going to stop the mass shooter, something that Republicans would never really go along wrong with. Now, my point here doesn't necessarily make the argument for allowing trans people to use the bathroom, but it undercuts the safety argument as to why they must absolutely be prohibited from doing so. Because to me, it's not going to make any difference on actual matters of crime and public safety. And that's empirically supported as well. But one thing that these policies would do, and part of why I don't support them, is have pretty bizarre and dysfunctional results. Because as much as some conservatives sometimes don't like to admit this, there are a fair number of trans people who almost entirely pass as the opposite gender. I'm going to put some images on screen of prominent public figures who are trans men and are muscular, have beards, and appear as men. You really would not know the difference. Well, under Nancy Mace's policies, or generally speaking, the kind of bathroom bills that Republicans have sometimes advocated for, these people would be forced to use the women's bathroom. I often hear people say, well, my daughter will be uncomfortable if a man is in the restroom, referring to a trans woman. And I understand that. And maybe they will be, maybe they won't notice. I don't know. But I also think they'll be really uncomfortable with these guys in the bathroom. Now, I do acknowledge a fair degree of nuance to this conversation. I think things like locker rooms where there's nudity are a different story than stall-based bathrooms where the most you'd really be doing is washing your hands next to somebody of the opposite sex. Frankly, a lot of foreign countries have unisex public bathrooms, and it's not that big a deal or the end of the world. Almost everywhere in Scandinavia does that, for example. Locker rooms and changing spaces are definitely different, and I do believe that you should have to, at the very least, have had bottom surgery or not expose yourself whatsoever to go into a woman's space like that, even if you are a trans woman. And maybe they need to actually have a third space for locker rooms and changing rooms. I'm open to that. I think this has nuance, but I don't think the bathroom obsession and focus makes any sense at all. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I just had a very spirited debate with Allie Beth Stuckey over at The Blaze on this very issue. But if I'm wrong, you have to explain why by addressing my arguments or refuting my points. Unfortunately, some right-wing types on Twitter the last couple days have basically just said, shut up, you're a man. You don't get to speak on this, or you don't understand because you're a guy. And my response to that is, hold up. I thought we were against identity politics because to me, they sound like woke feminists. No uterus, no opinion. Sound familiar? I mean, that's essentially the same argument. In reality, invoking someone's identity never makes them more or less correct. Never makes their points more or less logically sound. So just saying you're a dude, shut up, isn't an argument and isn't a rebuttal. Maybe I am wrong, but you're going to have to actually explain why, not just point to my gender. But what do you guys think of this issue? I honestly do want to hear from you. I know a lot of my followers and viewers and listeners might have different views, and I respect your opinion. And if you disagree with me, let me know why in the comments. Do hit that like button if you did enjoy the conversation and found it interesting. That's what I want this show to be, an interesting space where we can have dialogue so we can discuss ideas, and we don't always have to agree.